Colorado Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, also a gun rights advocate, made headlines yesterday. Did you hear about this? After a standoff with Capitol Police. Reports say that she actually set off metal detectors while walking into the House floor and refused to let Capitol Police search her purse. Take a look. Now, following this incident, she took to Twitter to say, "I am legally permitted to carry my firearm in Washington, D.C. and within the Capitol complex. Metal detectors outside the House would not have stopped the violence we saw last week. It's just another political stunt by Speaker Pelosi." And joining us now to break down what happened is Congresswoman Lauren Boebert herself. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. When this broke out last night on social media, it really spread quickly. Tell us exactly what happened. This involved you and also other members of Congress.
Yes, it's very unfortunate that leadership is putting these measures in place. The threats that we saw on January 6th did not come from the House chambers. The Capitol building was breached by violent protesters, which is inexcusable and unacceptable in every sense of the term. What we saw on January 6th was not a need for more metal detectors. And if something like this were to happen again, will Speaker Pelosi be whisked away while the rest of us members are shuttered in the House chambers once again, vulnerable and defenseless? And now Speaker Pelosi has announced to the entire world that all members of Congress are completely unarmed, and that leaves us very vulnerable for any attacks that would come our way in the House chambers. On January 6th, that was not the first time bad, violent people breached the Capitol building. And this is why I took a stand when I first got here to make sure that I would be able to protect myself in all areas of the Capitol complex.
So let's go through the issue, which is there was a metal detector. It went off. I think something was in your purse. I assume you had a weapon in there. And explain what happened, because the way we're interpreting it is you wouldn't let them look in your purse. So I guess I'm kind of curious how that resolved itself. And then, is there an issue with you carrying on the floor? And if there is there a way to bring that up to make sure that you can?
So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yes, sir.
On January 6th, I was in a position where I was vulnerable, and I really felt cheated. I sat in the House chambers thinking, man, I've done everything that I can to make sure that I am well protected everywhere I go each and every day. And here I am following House rules and not carrying my firearm on the House floor. And this is the one time in my life where I would potentially need that. There were other Republicans who stayed in the House chambers to help Capitol Hill police. And the Capitol Hill police officers were grateful for their assistance. They even posted them in areas where they were most vulnerable and needed their help in keeping these violent protesters back. When I walked through the metal detector, I had no intention of emptying my pockets. I had my cell phone, I had my AirPods, and all sorts of things. I have always said that I have followed all D.C. carry laws. I have followed all rules that the House has put forward for carrying. And it's very unconstitutional to stop a member when they're on their way to vote. So there were many members like myself who refused to be wanded and to be searched like we were going through TSA when we were on our way to vote. So I guess I made the mistake of being the first member on the floor to vote because it turned into about 10 minutes of me standing there respectfully but defiant. I had conversations with the Capitol Hill police officers. I hope they all know how grateful I and many others are for their service, that we are praying for them, praying for protection over them, and we're just so overflowing with gratitude for them and the work that they do for us. And so I had that conversation with them, and eventually I was permitted to enter. I think that was after about 10 of my colleagues just rushed through a different set of metal detectors at another entrance.
Congresswoman, two questions for you. One, it was my understanding that you all did not know that these metal detectors would be in place, that this was something new, that it was put there. You guys were not aware of it. 3 questions. Second, did you have a firearm in your purse, if you're comfortable answering that? And then third, your thoughts on impeachment. Obviously, you said that you were discussing things there with the Capitol Police, so people would understand why the Capitol Police would be on guard and want something like this, because they want to feel secure as well after everything that transpired.
Yes, so we did find out about these metal detectors just moments before we were scheduled to vote, and there were conversations that were taking place of members being very upset about this action that was being taken. We have Capitol Hill police officers that have stopped me in the halls, and we've communicated, and many of them tell me how proud they are of the stance that I'm taking and to not back down. In fact, I'm wearing a pen today that was given to me by one of the sergeants here. And, you know, these guys, these men and women are just so incredible here. And I've really had just a privilege and an honor to get to know so many of them. And one of the solutions, I kind of missed this earlier, to disarming us right there at the doors of the House chambers would be to allow us to have lockers in the cloakroom. If you are going to disarm us, then have a way for us to carry our firearms where they are permitted and then safely secure them where they are not. If we are not able to transport our firearms in certain areas, then we wouldn't be able to carry at all. So I will most likely be putting forward some sort of letter or proposal to install lockers in the cloakrooms for the members who choose to store their firearms there. And I did just debate today. I spoke on the House floor regarding this sham impeachment. The Democrats have wasted no time and showing us.
Congresswoman, I apologize profusely here. We have to take a break. I'm being beaten over the head with it. Could you stay for a couple minutes? We'd love to hear your insight on the impeachment and what you had to say. Could you stay with us another couple minutes?
I would love to stay with you guys.